Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Welcome back to the live stream. I'll have a guest very, very soon, but right now I'm actually sitting here. You're getting a little bit of behind the scenes look here of how we get the podcast started. So I've actually got this whole board sitting over here to my right. It's really fancy looking. Does it make me any fancier than I am? I don't think so, but still very fancy looking. And when I hit that button right there, that means we're recording the podcast. And so this is actually what you hear on audio version from here on out is what we're about to talk about here. But no, my good friend, Mr. Drew Gregory, will be here in just a minute. He texted me about 3.5 minutes ago and said, can you stall for 5 minutes? And I was like, yeah, I can stall for 5 minutes because that's definitely something I can do. I can get out here and hang out with you guys and we can stall. But so glad you guys are here tonight. Like you kind of probably saw from the thumbnail, we're going to be talking to Mr. Drew Gregory about his latest win on Lake Havasu in Arizona, which is really interesting because the lake itself is just super interesting. And I kind of want to talk to him about it. It is definitely on my list of kind of bucket list lakes to go visit just because of how unique that it actually is. It's super clear. It's super deep. And when I say like super clear, like it's like Great Lakes clear, and it's full of smallmouth and largemouth, and you just don't really ever think like desert fishing and brown fish. But Drew just posted a clip not too long ago, and he caught one of his biggest fish of the tournament that helped him to win was a big brown fish, which is really, really interesting. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing tonight once Mr. Drew Gregory shows up. Greg Drury actually is who he is, if you guys have not heard that. But no, for real, as soon as Drew shows up, we'll get after that. But how are you guys doing? That's what I want to know. Come over in the chat. There's a few of you guys already in here kind of hanging out with me. Let me know how you guys are doing. I'd love to answer some questions and hang out with you guys before we get this podcast rolling and my ADHD brain gets focused in on Drew and not on anything else. And for real, though, like if you're ever watching this live stream and you think like Alex isn't paying attention to us, yeah, that's because I can't. Like literally, it's either I focused on the guest and I'm completely focused on what they're saying and what they've got going on, or I'm reading comments. And if I'm doing both, I can't do both at the same time. I really struggle with that. Just as now I have to switch my attention. Hello, Miss Carol Ferg. How are you doing? It's nice to meet her at the Knucklehead Championship when we did. And it is a good day to be alive. I love it. Ketchum King Fishing said it's a good day to be alive. So Angry Chiropractor, one of my favorite usernames ever, and in a longtime supporter of the show, says he's going shoal bass fishing in the morning. Dude, that will be awesome. I've never been shoal bass fishing in the winter, but I've heard that there are some giants. I'm guessing you're going shoal bass fishing further south, like almost into Florida type area, if I'm not mistaken, because if I'm not mistaken, based off what I understand about shoal bass, there's not very many left. They kind of all migrate south during the winter and then come back up during the spring. So Jeff Yoho, what's up, man? Over here making some hand-poured paddle tails. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I like making plastics all right. I'm more of a lead guy myself. I like to make lead things like Ned heads, jigs, stuff like that. The paddle tails to me, not paddle tails, but plastics in general, I'm just like not very good at them. I've never been able to mix up like really pretty colors like the guys over at Do It do. The dudes that do it make it look professional and make it look like what actually comes out of the package. Mine just always suck. But I guess if you're making a paddle tail, you can just make a white one and probably do really, really well with it. Wonder what mold are you using? If you don't mind me asking, it'd be pretty cool. Hook Life says the bearded badass. Appreciate it, my friend. Indiana misses your manliness. I don't miss Indiana. No, I'm just kidding. I like Indiana. It's a pretty cool place. My buddy Branson is actually moving down from Indiana next week. And so in Indiana or Indiana, I don't know what you call those people. One of you guys are moving down here. So we'll have one of you guys in Tennessee. Okay, Rose says, Bobby. Yeah, Bobby's up there sleeping. He's got grumpy tonight. I think he's just real sleepy. So he's kind of grumpy tonight. So no, sir, on the shoal bass moving south, West Point area where they've caught the world record on Christmas a couple of years ago. Really? I didn't know that. Okay, so I'm guessing there's like a mass majority of them that move south, because that's kind of what Dr. Steve Salmons was talking about, that they're like a migratory fish and that you can they're almost like salmon in a way that they move a whole lot, which is really, really interesting. But that's cool. I hope you catch the freaking world record. That would be awesome to see. I'm all about breaking some records. I'm not going to say much about it, but we've got some really cool content coming very soon. We broke a record, just to say the least. It's going to be some cool videos. It's waiting on some DNA testing to come back, and then we'll get those videos out to you guys. So, Jake, the fishing guy, says it's about to be a banger. I really do hope so. As soon as old Drew Gregory shows up again, we're just stalling. We're 5 minutes into the stall, and he's still not here yet. So I'm starting to worry a little bit, but I'm sure he'll be here. There's a couple just outside of Phoenix as well. Apache Canyon, Roosevelt, you should try while you're in Arizona. I will do that. I will add those to the list of when I am in Arizona to go and fish for sure. I want to go there, like Texas, Arizona. I want to go out that way. I've never been out west. I've never been west of Oklahoma. Well, I've never been west of Texas, actually, because Texas is a really big place. I was in west-ish Texas, but not like deep west Texas. And so I guess I have technically been west of Oklahoma. But I've never been to like the Great Plains, like Rocky Mountain. Like I want to see all that, and then I want to see like the desert too, like Arizona, Nevada. Go to Las Vegas, watch a UFC fight. Like it's like on the bucket list of things to go do. So what's up, Donald Ferris? Hello from Henderson. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Angry Chiropractor back again says that's true in the Flint, but they're pretty locked between the dams. And well, that makes sense. Yeah, so the other rivers that they're in on the Flint, they can move a lot, but not on the dammed rivers. Duh. Well, that makes perfect sense. Kind of makes sense why too. Probably the world record came out of there because they're kind of like that isolation into that place. You know, it grows those fish. If they're isolated in there with a lot of food, it makes bigger fish, which is really, really interesting. So, yeah, Trevor Wagner. Glad you're here, man. Do you use StreamYard? Yes, I do. I do use StreamYard. That's the I've been using StreamYard for a hot minute. A lot of people kind of get on StreamYard now. If I'm not mistaken, it's a little bit expensive now, but I kind of got like grandfathered into the whole entire program. And so I get like all the fancy crap for like $20 a month just because I've been using it for so long. But yeah, I do use StreamYard, and I really, really like it. Ryan Galen, miss you the East Tennessee Fishing Show. Seeing your buddy Creek Fishing Adventures is who you saw. But yeah, I don't really like. I'm gonna. How do I say this? I like seeing y'all. I like seeing people. I like seeing the people who watch my channel hanging out with you guys. But I'm just not a big fan of fishing shows. I'm a little. I don't like to stand inside when I can be outside or doing something more productive than standing inside. And so, yeah, I kind of avoid fishing shows if at all possible. But yeah, missed you too. Glad you got to see John. John's a good dude. I like John. Hopefully you stopped by the Source Crate booth, get to see everything that they made. Hopefully you got a bunch of cool fishing crap. Let me know what you got over in the comments. We can talk about it. But yeah, my wife asked, if the house is burning, who do you save first, me or Bobby? Definitely you, Bobby. Bobby's portable though. Like I can get you out and Bobby out at the same time. I don't have to choose. Now Bexley, on the other hand, that's neither here nor is it there. Here in New Mexico, the desert state west of Texas, there is nothing here to see. Good to know. I mean, I went to Mexico, not New Mexico. Mexico was really cool. There was a lot of stuff to see there. Well, I guess there's nothing to see in New Mexico. I wonder, I would have to look up the history of that. I kind of want to look up the history of that now. It's like, why is New Mexico called New Mexico? Was it part of Texas at some point? Because I know we fought the Mexicans over Texas at the Alamo. And I'm guessing New Mexico was part of Mexico at some point. I don't know the history of that. That kind of saddens me that I don't know the history of that because normally I'm full of useless information. So, Mr. Tackle Talk, how you doing, buddy? What's up? I'm sitting here stalling. Drew said give him 5 minutes, and we're now 8 minutes and 38 seconds into this, and we're still stalling. So I'm chewing on a cracker and stalling. So, yeah, I mean, I'm good. Hope you're good. But enjoying the podcast. If you don't listen to this man's podcast, you need to. Probably, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say probably the biggest fishing podcast out there right now. Dude's absolutely just killing it. And screw Ohio State still. I'm giving you all these saying all these nice things about you, son of a bitch. And you're going to do that to me. Oh, that's just great. That's just great. Old Hayes just giving it to me. But you know what? I take all those nice things back. It's the worst podcast I've ever heard. It's probably the smallest fishing podcast out there, and it sucks compared to mine. That's what I think. Anyway, here's the man, the myth, and the legend. Listen, dude, you said stall for 5. I gave you 9.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. Sorry.
No.
What's that? You got nothing?
Nope. No sound over there, buddo. I love it. Here we go. Oh, I just stalled up. I don't know what's going on. We're going to keep talking to you
Got
guys.
me now?
Anyway, let me see who else was up here. I saw Aaron in here. Aaron Outdoors. He's the man. He won the first Kayak Adventure Series ever on shoal bass. you're not checking out Aaron Outdoors, you need to. He's a really, really good guy. Ryan, looks like you got some new rods, some new reels. Grab a few slobber knockers and some stunners. My man, that's what's up. Drew, you there, bud?
You got me? Can you hear me?
I ain't got no sound, pal.
I'm going out and coming back in.
Okay. I don't know what he's saying. But anyway, so yeah, so slobber knockers, stunners. That's freaking awesome. So really, really good stuff. Now, let's see here. Hopefully, can we still hear me? Like, is everybody hearing me? So y'all can hear him, but I can't hear him. Can y'all hear me? Heard, maybe? Yes? We can hear him. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe it was a me thing. I'm turned up. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're going to get it. Yes, unfortunately. I know, right? It just sucks to listen to me, man. Oh, sucks to listen to me. But anyway, John Mongo. Hey, buddy. Not seen you in a hot minute. Hope you're doing well. I've not heard a single person who's caught a bass in New Mexico. Should be a good climate, though. That's true. Is there any big lakes in New Mexico? I don't know. I need to catch up on my history of New Mexico. There he is. Now I can definitely hear you.
You can?
I can hear you now.
I had to tell. So, dude, it's been a night.
It's been a night. Tell me about it.
Kiddos, wife's kind of like a girls' weekend, but she was supposed to be on that girls' trip last weekend, but they moved it to this weekend. So I'm not complaining because I was able to go do this. So
yes.
All good. But now she's gone. I got the kids, dude. I was so close to getting them to sleep. I was hopping on Steve from Get Your Fish Ons live on Friday at 8. And I came down, and of course the basement door opens and they woke up and came down here. And now it's been like, hey, go watch Paw Patrol, do something. Sorry, And then of course, because they're up there streaming the show, the internet's been not been able to pull, good signal for me on live. So anyway, I just figured out that's why I was having a little bit of an issue with his show. And then probably a few minutes ago, why you couldn't hear me. So I told them to go play with some toys or just go to sleep, for goodness sakes. Go to sleep.
Go to sleep, for goodness sake. Oh, well.
You should be doing.
It's all good.
Anyway, buddy. So now we'll hang out, chat about whatever. I know you could kind of gab a little bit too. So I knew you were good for a little while until I got on. So I wanted to give Steve at least as much time as possible.
I'm full of so much hot air. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was good to see everybody for a minute. Like I was telling them before we got started, I either have to focus on my guest and talk to them, or I have to read comments. There's no doing both for me, because if I read comments, I don't hear anything that comes out of the guest's mouth. And if I'm listening to the guest, I don't read any of the comments. And so it was nice to kind of touch base with everybody, see how everybody's doing. But how are you, my friend? I mean, listen, I don't hear from you for like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you just go slip up and win a freaking kayak tournament. I mean, what happened, buddy?
Yeah, I just sort of accidentally won a tournament. I guess. No. Yeah, I've been good. I've been busy. I don't even know what to say about this. I mean, honestly, it's like this crazy story, this dream that I feel like I'm in right now. That I had this crazy plan, and it's all started from a sort of not a spam email, but basically a marketing email from Spirit Airlines that said $40 flights all over the country, book now, right? I'm like,
yeah.
$40, good deal. Let me see where they're flying. You and I, we got to go to places like ICAST, and I got to fly the family to, maybe to come at one of these Kayak Adventure Series events, so my son doesn't have to miss a bunch of school. So maybe I can get some deals on sending those 3 to one of the events or something. Let me just see where they're flying. Let me just peruse this. So I click on the link through the email. Las Vegas is one of the places they're going from Columbus. One of the only places that was the $40 flight from Columbus, Ohio. Now, I'm like 2.5 hours from Columbus, but still $40 one way to Vegas. But I didn't need to go to Vegas for anything, until I realized, like, wait a second, Bassmaster Havasu is out there near Vegas. And I'd fished out in the Colorado River back in, like, I don't know, maybe 2012, 2013, and Yuma, Arizona, which is the same watershed, the same river system that makes Havasu. It's just further downstream. It's like an hour and a half away, probably. I loved it. One of the coolest trips ever, man. Flipping these giant, big toolies, they're laid over. You're flipping a giant, huge 8-inch, like, soft plastic jerkbait and let it swirl around, like a giant fluke, basically like a Z-Man Streaks. Just let it swirl and then watch big fish just come out and dump it. Now we didn't catch a ton, but you got the beautiful mountain scenery, the burnt red of those mountains and the desert sand and the green and the tules and the blue water turquoise. It was the most pretty, like just beautiful place to catch a bass ever. So I've always wanted to go back. And of course I call Amanda Brandon and Matthew Brandon. They're in California. I thought they might come to the event. I said, hey, you got a boat or a torpedo I could borrow if I can somehow pull this off? He said, sure. We can throw an extra. I got an extra boat you can use because Matthew's going, she said. And Shane Lamont, he said he'd let me borrow stuff if I needed it. So I knew I had people I could borrow stuff for. Plus, Crescent's got dealers all around the country. I could probably find, this is like in November, I could probably find in a few months, couple months time until the event, I'm going to be able to find enough stuff to pull it off if I can get the old go ahead from the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I go to my wife Christina and I said, what do you think about this plan? And she's like, didn't you look at the calendar, our family calendar, not your work calendar, our family calendar? And I'm like, no. Obviously, I know at this point something's going on. It literally says in our phone, I look on my phone in the calendar, it says girls trip weekend, my mother-in-law's birthday, like her 60th. And Drew is watching kids all weekend. That's literally in the calendar, that whole thing. I'm like, oh, okay, dang it. Yeah. I feel like a moron. That was on me. And I never should have been watching YouTube videos about Lake Havasu for like 2-3 nights in a row after everyone else had gone to bed and getting hyped up. Oh, well, it's not meant to be. All of a sudden, I'm on a Kayak Adventure Series live stream we do on Wednesdays, at 12. And she pops down these stairs here and she says, I'm not promising anything, but that girls trip, one of them couldn't make it work for that weekend. So you might be able to go do that trip on Havasu. I'm like, really? I could not wait to get off that live stream. And I was like, so what's the deal? And then she's like, yeah, they can't make it. So I immediately just booked the flight. That way it was locked in. And then started working on getting my own gear there somehow. Yeah. And Joe McElroy, kayak angler from Alabama, he's the one who gave away all of his winnings on the stage, the classic stage in Fort Worth last time we were there, to Jason Borofka's son, JT. And good dude. And he was like, I heard he was driving. Steve Owens had told me he was driving all the way to the Arizona. So if I just got my kayak to him, I figured he would probably take it for me. He's a good guy. I'm friends with him. I call him up. He said, no problem. He would take my kayak and all my rods, reels, gear, drive it out to Arizona for me. I just had to get it to him. So then I go, all right, well, I go to Georgia every year for Christmas with my family. Georgia's next to Alabama. It's pretty close. I'm going to put my kayak, my Crescent, Shoaly on the top of the SUV and all the Christmas presents in the back and, for my family down there and put all my rods and reels and everything in the SUV. Just, I don't carry a lot of stuff. It's one Yak Attack black pack and then a Sunline box and 3 torpedo batteries, a torpedo and rods and reels in that kayak. That was it. And, we're driving down, like December 27th, heading on down after Christmas to do the whole thing with my family. My wife isn't feeling good about 4.5 hours into the trip, just north of Lexington, in a town called Georgetown, Kentucky. And she goes, we got to pull over, go to a hotel. I'm like, all right, cool. Thinking, all right, no big deal. We didn't get as far down the road as we'd hoped to, but it's not like we're not going to get to Georgia. Go there every year. Well, 3 days later, we're still in the same Holiday Inn Express. She just could not get out of bed. She was so sick. I was very concerned for her, and my kids were sick, and it's obvious we're not making it to Georgia. I'm not, so I got to find another way to get this kayak to Joe. And one day I called Joe. We were in the hotel, and he said he was at his hunt fish camp below Lake Barkley and, in Kentucky as well, in the Cumberland River. And it's 3 hours and 45 minutes away from the hotel. So I said, I got no choice. It's either I go back home with all this stuff and I start making calls and fish out of some boat that's not the one that I would prefer to be in, the one that I designed, obviously. And it's just my baby. It's like, I can't not fish out of that. So I was like, I told my daughter, Sophia, I said, let's go. Theo, you stay here with Christina, my wife, in the hotel. You take care of her. Don't be a problem. She's just going to be laying here all day anyway. And she said she was good. And I said, let's go, Sophia. We got in the car, strapped her in the car seat. We drove 3 hours and 45 minutes, dropped off all my stuff, hung out for 15, 20 minutes, with Joe, and then headed back to hopefully get everyone back together, feeling good. And a couple days later, we were able to go back home to Ohio, and eventually get better. So that's how it got there. And that's how I was able to use my own stuff. And then I put a little feeler out to the kayak anglers of Northeast Ohio. We got a little Discord going, a great community of guys up here.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, anyone want to just take a crazy adventure with me? Cheap 100. We actually found flights instead of Columbus. We found direct flights out of Cleveland, which is like 45, 50 minutes from me, that airport, $170 round trip. I mean, all the way to Vegas. That's nothing, man. That's way cheaper than gas would have been. Cheaper than if I would drive to Dardanelle or Grand Lake or Toledo Bend or Lake Fork or whatever. So I'm actually going cheaper than I would driving this thing. So Jake Cook, I met him one time, maybe twice. Did one little short float with him here in the town that he and I kind of live close to here. And nice guy. He said, hey, I've never fished a national event, but I just want to learn and watch how you approach it and just learn from you. To me, I'll take this whole trip. I'm going to enter the tournament, and it's worth it if if you're cool with it. I'm like, dude, that's why I put out the feelers. I'd love to have someone come with me. So he was able to join me, and we flew out there on a Wednesday. Tournaments Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, flew out there on a Wednesday. I made some phone calls and got him hooked up with the kayaks and some gear. Shout out to Scott Stolman from Minnesota, who drove down and brought his extra kayak, and even the Newport guys who sponsor the Bassmaster Kayak Series. They had extra motors and batteries, and they gave him a motor and a battery. So he was all set, and got there on a Wednesday night late. Like our flight was 7 p.m. because that was the other pitch. Hey, to the wife, I'm only going to be gone like Wednesday night. I'm leaving, and then I'm back on Monday morning. It's a red eye. I'm back on Monday morning. So literally I'm gone like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like 4 days. It'll be short, quick, easy. And so anyway, it was like, all right, go do your thing. So anyway, we got there probably into Lake Havasu City. It's like 2.5 hours from Vegas airport, like 2:33 a.m. got to bed, 3:30, woke up the next day, got our stuff from everybody that was bringing it out there for us, and got it collected, and had some time to drive around the river section of the lake that we were allowed to fish, and check some water temps with my digital meat thermometer, kitchen thermometer. And so we had that Amazon Prime to the house. And we were so whipped, we never even got on the water that day. By the time we got all of our stuff rigged up and drove around and did all that, I did catch one fish from the bank though. So that was kind of cool. But
that's a good sign. I mean, when you can roll up and catch one from the bank, it's like, okay, yeah, we're good. We can do this.
We're good.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I'll show you for some visual perspective.
Yeah.
I will pull up, actually see if, hang on, I'm going to pull up the maps real quick.
Yeah, because I'm fascinated by it. Because I was looking at some of the videos you've been posting, dude. The water is like Great Lakes clear.
It is.
And it's just fascinating looking. Like I looked up Havasu because I knew it existed. Like I think it wasn't Aaron Martins that won that tournament flipping in the reeds with the birds, and that's my extent of the knowledge of the lake. And then like I saw some like pictures and videos of it, and I was like, that place looks wild.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So check
absolutely.
This out.
So this is the Google map on it, and this was our boundary up here in Needle. So this is like 95. We couldn't go past that bridge.
Yeah.
And there's this section of river here that's in a valley. Like if you zoom out, look at that. See all the farmland? It's called Willow Valley. This is just a flat valley. But all over here, once you get down into this, you guys can see how much topography there is there. It's like mountains. Cuts through the gorge. See that? It just cuts through this gorge.
Right on the border of California.
Yeah, makes the border
between
California and Arizona. So this is in the Lake Havasu, like see all the mountains and the steep terrain.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, if you pull up the I don't know how to do it on the computer, but the Omnia app on the phone, you can use your two fingers and actually rotate in a 3D view, and you can see how big these mountains are, the topography. Yeah, and how beautiful this is. And honestly, I thought to myself, you know what? You see all these backwaters, Rudd?
Mm-hmm.
That is some juicy looking stuff, right? I mean, all these backwaters here, you can kind of roll into, like this one. Just a ton of them up the hole, and then all those bluffs and the rocky banks. Look at that steep. You can see the shadows on there, just how steep that is. Devil's Elbow. That just it cuts like that with these tulies, these reeds in here.
Listen, buddy, last time I went anywhere near something called the Devil's Anything, I flipped a kayak, so you gotta be careful of that. But go on.
You can just see there's a lot of cool stuff to explore in this section of the river, which you would think where I would like to go, right? Look, knowing my style, of course, I'm going to get all up in this backwater stuff, but there was so much of that to explore that I thought, you know what? I think everyone else that's been here for a week or 4 days or 5 days or however long they're here, they're going to hit all this stuff, all these
Yeah.
backwaters, and it looks so good. And I know there's fish there. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it, but it's like almost too overwhelming. And if I've only have 1 day, I do want to find fish that I think I'm going to have to myself.
Yeah.
And the place I think I could do that is instead of these mountains and this gorge, I think the ugliest, most mundane straightaway for 13 miles section of this river,
Yep.
basically is all it is right there.
Nothing
See this
stuff.
all the
Fish
way
stuff.
to Needles. There's just nothing here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there's no laydowns like a normal river. There's no bends. There's no I wish I had Google Earth Pro on here that you can see how green this water really is. This satellite image doesn't do it justice, but it's just a straightaway. I mean, like straight as can be, the whole thing.
It looks like Star Wars. Like it looks like
yeah.
Like it looks like Tatooine from Star Wars. Like it's this barren wasteland. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see some jetties like this, but the water was super low. The water was barely even on these, these rocky kind of jetties and stuff. It's just nothing. I mean, nothing. The whole section of river was just blah. So what I ended up doing, how I won this was basically the final day, the only day of practice we had to get on the water. I put in here, we actually motored up to this bridge. I caught a couple dinks on that Gobius. And then I actually ended up seeing about a 12, 13-inch smallmouth in the water, about 10, 12 feet deep. And I threw at it and it bit. So I knew you could catch them if you could see them, maybe if they're small enough and not smart enough. But I ended up just floating down and floating down the entire river all the way to our landing here at Topak 66 Marina, right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, this satellite image is so wrong compared to the water level it was for us. You could not even get out of this marina. You had to push paddle in mud to get out of here. It was so shallow. Like you couldn't make it up this little chute here all the way, up to all these backwaters. You couldn't make it. It was just mud. That's how low it was. So anyway, I ended up taking out there. And at one point in that sort of run, I'm just not seeing fish, not seeing bait fish, and it's crystal clear. You can see 30 feet down. There's nowhere you cannot see. So you don't need to fish for the fish. You just need to be looking for the fish and see if you see them, and you don't. I mean, every once in a while you would see a big giant group of carp, and that's like it. And maybe a onesie twosie bass, like every 2 miles you might see one or two bass, small or something, but not enough to I can win this tournament here. You know what I mean? So I'm heading down, could be maybe halfway down or getting close to halfway through that whole section, or a little further than halfway, I guess. And I'm on the phone with Jake, who took the truck and was doing some other exploring on his own of our rental truck pickup truck we rented from the airport. All of a sudden, dude, it's kind of like you, Alex. I'm on the phone with you sometimes. You hear the echo? I heard an echo.
Oh, something exploded. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was. Go on. I'm listening now.
Well,
go on.
Well, I'll talk to you a lot, and you're on the water, and you answer the phone. Next thing you know, all I hear is, "Oh, got one! Whoa, oh, God!"
Every time.
All the time. Okay, so I just pick up the phone. I'm talking to Jake, and all of a sudden, I'm looking the whole time, just looking. I'm keeping myself 15, 20 feet off the bank because the riprap would end in the water. It'd go underwater, maybe 5 feet in. And then all of a sudden from that point to the other side of the whole river, it's just sand. So all I'm looking is at where the riprap meets the sand, and then up into the riprap, and see if there's any bass anywhere. And all of a sudden I rolled over this depression on a shallow 3-foot sort of flat section on the west bank. And I just saw 15 smallmouth. I was like, oh my goodness, just past a whole school of smallmouth. And I'm going to show some pictures to you guys too, so you can see what the river looked like. And I told Jake, I was like, maybe there's something to this section. Maybe it could actually happen. I'm going to share my entire screen. That's what I'm going to do. That's the way to pull this off, because I've had this happen before and it doesn't work if I don't do the whole screen. So hang on. Let's see. Inception for a second. So here's the photo. So this is obviously they're not in order. So sorry, but spoiler alert, I win the tournament. So I'm going to see. So this is actually me tying on a drop shot after the last day of practice, realizing I might have to use actually a spinning rod and maybe even a drop shot. I was not happy.
Pure depression.
Yeah, I was really sad about that. But anyway, that's us at the airport. Afterwards, when I flew back with the trophy, more on that later. But let's get to That's me back home here in Ohio in the snow. But this is what it looks like. You see how low the water is? Like it's so low, it's like record low, crystal clear. There's not much going on. But that's why I picked this section. It's so ugly compared. See that valley? Look how there's nothing out there. It's just pure flat land until you get all the way far away to the mountains. And those are the kind of mountains that the gorge below that interstate it cuts through towards Lake Havasu, and it's just gorgeous. Huh. So I said, I've got to find fish in this section, because if I do, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have them to myself. And that's all I wanted was to, an A spot doesn't win tournaments because everybody can find the A spot. A B or C spot can win a tournament if you own it to yourself and you maximize it and manage your fish properly. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what I was looking for, is like, how can I find, and you can see the riprap and stuff ends and it's just sand from there till the rest of the whole.
If you were to show me those pictures, I would be like, yeah, you're on Lake Michigan somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the wildest looking, like, except for that. Right. I would be like, that looks like, that looks like an inlet, like off the Gulf or something. Like that is the weirdest looking place in the whole entire world.
It is. I love it. It's so unique, man. So this hole right here where this jetty is, if you can see my cursor, it's like 25 feet there, 30 feet.
Wow.
You would never know that. Like, look at this one over here. It's like 15 feet deep. 10. Yeah. And so you would think they would be there. That's what most people are going to look for them. And they are there. I'm sure certain times of the year, they're probably all over that stuff. But as well as I do, Alex, the river water doesn't have a thermocline. So in winter, when most people are thinking deep and slow and trying to get to some warmer water, because a cold-blooded creature wants warmer water, in the river, they don't have to be deep because the water temperature is the same. It's getting mixed because the current too much where it doesn't have a thermocline at all. So the opposite actually holds true. People don't think about it. They actually get shallow, a lot shallower than people realize, because if I can find another picture, see, there's a smallmouth in the water where I took a picture of one to try to grab a waypoint. So I didn't need to catch them. I just needed to see them, and that's how clear that's the reflection or the shadow of the boat. So
it's crazy.
So what I ended up doing is, here's a coyote. I don't know how well this is going to stream for you guys here.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
What a wild place, man. What a wild place to fish. That's cool. Like, that's fun. Like,
oh, it's very, very fun. And that's what this is all about. It's all about adventuring and exploring new places. And that's why I wanted to go, because I just love it. That's the whole Kayak Adventure series. That's what we want. You guys to adventure and explore new place. That's just the simple setup I had. Here we go. This is like 12 feet deep here. It doesn't look like it, but it's like 12 feet deep. Watch this. He goes all the way down, keeps going, and that's down to the bottom. See, he's like about, seriously, like 10, 12 feet deep. So those are the photos. But to get back to the story here, actually, you can stop sharing the screen if you want. That's, So the fish were on the west bank in a section that was, so the west bank protected more by the wind, right? Because you got your wind moving from west, really like west, northwest, right, down to southeast, mostly when that cold fronts are coming in. So west bank is more protected from the wind, which means it's still, and still water is going to heat up better than Ripley water, right? So they were on the west bank. The school I found, they were in a little depression about 15 yards off the bank. So it's like the only fish I saw that weren't on the bank. And then they were sunning themselves. It's the complete opposite. They weren't down deep and all that. They were actually up shallow. And then there was some kind of, you saw in that one photo, that algae kind of green stuff out there in the middle, that they were kind of hanging out sometimes on that, sometimes on the sand. I think that warmed up a little bit because it's darker. And they were just trying to stay warm, because as well as I do, even where you are today, it's cold down there. It's cold, really cold here.
Oh yeah.
If I'm out in the cold, before I think about eating, I'm going to go get warm, because, I've gained some pounds. I could probably go a little while without eating, probably go good. Who knows? Just to survive, Alex, we could probably last give ourselves a week, maybe more.
Buddy, I did a 3-day fast just a couple weeks ago, and I was fine. You're fine. Yeah, I'm fine. So
before you worry about food, just like us, you're going to want to be comfortable. And that's what bass do. They want to be comfortable temperature wise. And they can eat like, in the winter, their metabolism is so much slower. They could literally eat like once a month and survive just to get through the winter. So the point is, they just want to be comfortable. So that's where I knew I could find them somewhere shallow, trying to get sun. And I just needed to go through that whole section and just keep my eyes open and look.
What was the water temperature?
50, like 253. And
if you like, you don't think Arizona, California, 50-degree water, but I mean, I guess in the winter, in the desert, it's going to get cool, and that's how those smallmouth are thriving there so well. Because that's a weird thing too. You don't think smallmouth and desert, but they were there.
Exactly. You can go to the Omnia app and look at the water temperature.
Oh, look at him. Look at him. Plugs. Smooth plug. Hey, real quick, smooth plug. Go to omnia.com. You can use the code BEARD, BEARD, to become an Omnia Pro member. And if you do that, as soon as you sign up for Omnia Pro, they're going to send you a $50 gift card back to be able to use on the website. So go use the code BEARD, Omnia Pro app. Go get all the features that Drew's about to show us here on the Omnia Pro app. Go on, sir.
All right, I'll share the screen and you guys can see this. So, oh, you got it here? It was already up. You were already on it.
Cooking.
So look at the main lake here, 48 degrees, 48. Now you get back in some pockets, and this historically it is, you can find some in the, but this is, mind you, this is historical water tip. It was colder than this there, but what you can take from this is, let's see up here. On average, are you seeing higher numbers up here?
Oh yeah.
Yes. On average, it's warmer. And here's why. But here's the crazy thing, Alex. I kind of like, I'm old school, man.
Yeah.
I don't even like really I should use this technology a lot more, but I already knew it was warmer because of this. When you go way up here above our boundary, there is a dam, and that's Lake Mojave. Lake Mojave, where the One Bass Open was, US Open, right? Last year, I believe. And that's a great fishery. Now, when the water comes out of this dam, it's a artificial cold water tail race. They stock trout there, kind of like all the ones we have in the Southeast. So the water comes out in the 50s, probably mid 50s. And because of that, think about it, the water temp in the lake is getting affected by the 40-degree, you know what I mean? Like these 38, 40-degree nights, and then highs in the, upper 60s or whatever. And the water down there was like 50. People were saying 50, 51. In there. And my water temps were a little bit like 2-3 degrees warmer because it's already coming out into the environment warmer than the lake water. It's already coming out like 55, let's just say. I don't know exactly, but I knew this water here was all coming out, expelled into the world a little bit warmer. So I thought, well
just the clarity of it too. I mean, the clarity of that water is going to warm up a lot quicker than people think. I mean, like, you think dirty water warms up faster, and it does. But when you're talking about water like that with a sand bottom or a rock bottom,
shallow,
and it's shallow like that with sand and rock, and the clarity, that rock and that sand is going to warm up pretty quick, and then thus it warms up the water around it. And that's interesting. That's super interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
And so I knew that water had a head start on warming compared to the lake water down there that no longer is, of course, affected by the temperature of that water coming out of the dam. So I thought, man, it's not a big deal, but it's a couple degrees, man. That can seriously make a difference for a cold-blooded animal. So we can stop sharing that, and I will pull up some videos. So that's kind of how I ended up on that section, and it was kind of blah, but I knew it was maybe a little bit warmer, and surely there's still some fish somewhere in there. So let's go to.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
On the clarity, because I know this from Great Lakes. Well, Great Lakes is a little bit different. Those fish are dumb. You can literally be sitting right on top of them and drop something out them, they'll eat it. They're a little bit dumber. But like, still, the clarity can wreak havoc on you. How far did you have to be off the fish to get them to bite?
Probably like I had to kind of maybe be, I don't know, like 40 yards or something.
Oh, so not crazy. But a good cast, a full cast length.
Yeah, a good cast length for sure. I'll pull up some videos here.
Are you still running straight 30-pound braid, or did you actually use some fluorocarbon?
Well, spinning rod, 8-pound SX1 Sunline straight braid, 8-pound. Swimming that little gobius bait. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to share a video file. I'm going to go to my.
I'm just putting it out there into the world right now that. Yeah. I don't give a crap what anybody says to you. They're like, you gotta have fluorocarbon because it's invisible in the water to get the fish to bite. And Drew Gregory's over here like, no, bullshit. I'm gonna use 8-pound braid, boys. Watch this.
Yeah, somehow.
Watch this, boys.
So if you have a moving bait like that, 8 pound is so dang thin and it's moving, you can get away with it. They can't see it. They don't care either because they're looking at it. I mean, hey, if they'll eat Alabama rig with all that wire in it, you know what I mean? Then, so anyway, the first fish I caught was this one. I mean, I only caught 6 fish on day one. I had 7 bites. And this was a bank.
Videos and everything. All right, for everybody listening on podcast form, I'm gonna run through this for you, or Drew will too. Also, love the Smith toboggan. That thing's badass. Go on.
Yeah. So what happened here? I was running up to my spot, right? And you can see the water line. They didn't run any water. It was like just didn't have any water to run. There's not much current, which is not good, you know, for river fishing. You want current to position those fish. And guys, we'll try to get some comments eventually. So I see a bunch of them over there. Appreciate you guys asking questions. But I once it got light enough for me to look in the water and see, this is the bank I didn't run downstream. When I did that 13-mile float down, you had to choose one bank or the other to look at. So I looked at the west bank. I didn't look at this bank much at all. Every once in a while I would zigzag over to it. But I was going up this bank in the morning. And I saw after line's end time, I was still running to my spot, right? But I saw a smallmouth down there. I said, right when that rock, you can kind of see that rock meets the sand about right under my boat, pretty much just to right on my boat.
Is that man-made riprap or is that just like natural rock?
I think they actually added like all this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
it's kind of like a canal system, a man-made canal system between the two.
Like it. Yep. So I actually saw some smallmouth sitting where that rock met the sand down there. And I said, well, I don't know how many fish I'm going to get out of my school. I might as well start fishing now since I saw one. I know there's probably more around. Let me just kind of work my way, go fast, and cast with that gobius and see what happens. So ended up, this is the fish I didn't know it was there. So it's a bonus fish. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know this one was going to be there and didn't know how many I was going to be able to pull out of that school, if any. So hook up with her. And this is like the smallest fish I had on day one. I actually ended up calling this fish out. And just hang on. Let me fast forward here. There we go. So it's like a 15 and a quarter, nothing giant, but at this tournament, I don't know how tough it's going to be. Scoring the fish.
Yeah.
About to let her go here. I don't know how tough it's going to be. So any fish, 15 and a quarter.
Hey, every fish counts.
Any fish is good, right? Once you get to 5, you just want to get to 5. So the next fish I ended up, I'll pull it up, is when I get to my school. So I get to the school.
And so you saw these fish physically with your eyes. Like these are fish spooled up and you just like, you paddled over them where you're like, well, that's cool.
Floated, kind of motored right over and floated. I was on the phone with Jake and I just saw them right there.
Yeah.
And they all spooked away and I was like, whoa. So I see Jake in the comments. So what's up, Jake? He's going to come on the show with Shane Lamont too. And we're going to hear from Jake on his take on it. Cause I've done a lot of these podcasts. So I want to hear Jake's take on the whole trip.
Yeah.
But watch what happens here. I'm going to rewind it to see you guys. And if you can pull this full screen, see that like ripple on the surface? I don't know if it's streaming good. Yeah. Watch that right off to my right shoulder. See that ripple right there?
Yeah.
Dude, guess what that is?
I have no idea.
Okay. Have you ever had a bass or a bluegill or whatever, like start eating your line where the line hits the water? You know what I'm saying? On the surface?
Yeah.
That is the school attacking my line, that 8-pound braid cutting through the water. And I see them. I see them. So what you got to do when that happens is speed your bait up quick and get it into the fired up fish. So I'm reeling it in kind of quick right now, just kind of hopping it fast until it gets into them. And once it gets there, trust me, you will get bit. Like there's no doubt about it.
That's crazy.
Now I want you to watch how many fish follow this in that big sand spot right in front of my kayak there. Watch how many fish.
Oh my gosh, I'm seeing them already. Holy shnikes.
Let them reset. I was not thrilled that they were all coming to the boat and I was getting, they were kind of seeing me there.
Dude, that's nuts. That's nuts.
So anyway, caught that one, and then that was fun. Let's see here.
And guys, for everybody listening on podcast form, because I know we're watching this on video,
16 guys.
You've got to imagine this is just like probably what is this, Drew? It's probably 500 yards across.
16. It's out of
and it's what an average of like
12, 13 foot deep.
Probably 200, 300 yards across.
So 200, 300 yards across, average of 12 to 13 foot deep, just super clear water. And it's like, if you were to look at this, you go, there's nothing there. But there's smallmouth just living there. Eating.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are they eating? Was there bait or crawdads?
There's crawfish in there, and I'm sure there's bait somewhere, even though I never really saw them. I did see it in a little milky stained area, a little backwater. There weren't many, but there was one that comes into play later. I saw some gizzard shad in there. That little milky or stained little backwater was warmer.
Yeah.
So another like degree and a half or so warmer. And I saw crawfish remains on one of the rocks. So I know there's crawfish.
Yeah.
I saw fish eating birds, not a lot in this section, but I saw them in other parts of the lake. So I know there are some there. There's sculpin in there. And that's why that bait mimics, for us, especially in your area, there's a fish called a river darter. You know what I mean? Those ones that like look, they have the flat bellies and they kind of like dart around. They look like the rocks. So for me, that bait there, that gobius is perfect. It mimics it just perfectly. So that's why I used it. Obviously, if you're on the Great Lakes and there's actually gobies there, it's perfect as well. But there's sculpin. If you look up a sculpin, it looks just like this thing too. So I know they're in there, and some other rare chubs and stuff live in this Colorado River. But I never saw the first one. You weren't anywhere. But I did see one trout that straggled his way down there that got lost, when they were stalking the trout.
Yeah.
And but anyway, there's some giant bluegill, and John from Creek Fishing Adventures, John Dalton, our boy, he was like, I got to get out there and catch those record-sized bluegill. Trust me, John, I saw them, and they're in that river section too.
They're like 2 and 3 pounds. They're huge, like enormous.
The record is like 6 pounds out of that lake. So yeah, they're like 2 or 3 pounders, like a normal. But I didn't see a ton of them, but there were a few actually hanging around the school with them. But I didn't see a ton of those fish either. So I don't know what all they're eating, but this time of the year, who knows? Because they're probably not revealing themselves very much with the cold water. So that was I let that fish go already. So let's go to the next one. So now I got 2 fish, right? I'm like feeling good, but could I get another fish to bite out of that school,
Yeah.
And I went back in there with a different lure. The first cat I went right back in immediately. I didn't let him rest. After I scored that fish, I went right back in immediately. With a little soft plastic jerk shad that was 3.75, like a stealthy one.
Yeah.
And like a little finesse bullets Texas rig. I went back in there with that bait, and I think I have another cast to go here. So anyway, I get bit again. You'll see, and that was awesome because so now I got 3 fish, right? The one from the riprap, and then these 2 right here. The question was just how many. You'll see they follow them every time. It'll be like several fish that you'll start seeing at some point in the fight. You'll see them. They're humming that sand right in front of me.
You can see them moving.
Ones, they just swim around up there. I don't know how clear this is streaming, but they're all up there in that area. See how shallow it is? They're just sun. See how calm it is?
Yeah.
On this side, it's shallow. They're just, and there's that algae kind of stuff that I think was warmer and why they like to be in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, fast forward.
I mean, my question is, I just wonder if anybody ever jacked with those fish. Look, there's one swimming off.
Yep, one swimming there.
Well, I just wonder if anybody ever messed with those fish. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not is that a very heavily fished area?
No one knows those fish are there. Nobody. No bass boat's going to go all the way from Lake Havasu all the way up here past that gorge and all that beautiful stuff. And the fishing, most West Coast anglers, it's no fault of theirs. They actually should be doing this. They should be really good at the stuff that we all know, the drop shot. That they have a lot of lakes that do not have flowing rivers in them that have the bass very far up those rivers. It does turn into trout water. A lot of them. There's not a lot of rivers that just like in your area, like whatever, like where we live, where it just have bass in it. So they don't do a ton of river fishing and focus on that, right? You got that Colorado River here, and that's like about it. So they need to really know how to like work the depths in the lake and use live scope and drop shot and the big swim baits that come into play, that pull those big ones and draw them up. They got to know how to do that. So that's kind of where they focus on. And I don't think anyone ever is running past all that good lake water that the giants were in the lake, dude. My boy Pete, my chaotic fishing on Instagram, go check out Pete. Great dude. He caught like 100 inches of smallmouth in practice on live scope, 35 foot deep. He was on them.
Mm-hmm.
Tournament, they vanished. He couldn't find them again. But he was on them. And so they're there in the lake. I just don't think they ever would go. People wouldn't go to the, nothing's ugly there, but it's the most mundane, bland looking section of river. And on that whole 13 miles, you got to remember it's crystal clear, low. You can see to the bottom. That's the only pack of fish I saw. I would see a little onesie twosie. You're not winning much of anything unless you just happen to stumble on that one spot to combine with a few other fish on that long, like that 1.5 mile section of bank that I found. So then I catch another fish here. I mean, like the fish number
winning school, but they're all like 17, 16,
4,
17 inches.
fish number 4. Here, play that next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just crazy to me. This is just fun because this is like one of those instances where like you find something no one else has found, and this is just fun. Like this is fun to watch, fun to hear about.
Just being super stealthy. Now my GoPro died here. Unfortunately, I didn't have the Aqua powered up, and I didn't realize it, and it died. But this one was like, I held it up in a second. I'll pull up that video. It's like a 17. So this is where they start getting a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Cleared out the first few small quote unquote ones, and now the bigger ones are deciding they want to eat.
So they're 17.
Exactly.
That's fun, dude. God, that's so cool.
So,
we were watching them eat like that and fight.
That's so good. This is the release of that fish. So I had enough power to kind of like let me hold it up, and when I plugged the Aqua batter pack in.
Another cookie
Ski
cutter.
goggles on. I love it.
Smith Boomtowns, man, they're awesome.
I like them.
Anyway, let that one go. All right, so then I need one more fish, and I've got a limit, man. I'm excited. Just give me one more, and I'll get that limit. So I caught this limit fish here, and
the water is just so cool to me. Like that place looks so cool.
So see my shadow. I even was just crouching, and I was staying near those trees, crouching. I don't want my shadow to intrude on that little spot up there, that flat. Again, most fish were kind of about where my kayak is. Most of the fish on that bank were sitting right there where the kayak is, not out towards the middle there, 15, 20 yards out in this little
super
depression.
stealthy.
You can see them in that little sandy spot, and there's more to the right off camera that you can't see. But that's just some of them pulling that little sand spot right there.
Got him again. God, that's cool, dude.
It is cool.
That is so much fun. That's crazy.
Now watch this. There goes 1, 2, 3,
4. Holy
5.
cow. Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
It was so cool. I was like, how many am I going to be able to get out of here? But this is my 5th fish. If I can get it in, it's a limit. I'm excited. And let me hurry this up. So,
God, dude, that is so much fun.
Dude, Gobius.
Gobius in his face.
yeah, you called it.
In his face.
Decent limit too.
So anyway, that was 17 and a half. So
good size fish, or
yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, they don't look that big.
Place, man.
No, I mean, that's
and
cool.
then you get them in. They're like, oh, it's 17 and a half. I saw 19s and 20s. They were loners. I could not get them to eat, dude. I could not. They're there. You could win a Lake Havasu tournament up that river, but most people just would never go all the way up there to do it. Try to do it, and it's very hard. You got to know where they're at. They're like literally some of the hardest fish to catch I've ever I mean, I did attempt so many other techniques and things. So on I did coal. So just a difference in some scenery here.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
New spot.
So new spot. I was about to say, did you once you had your limit out of there, just kind of pull off of them and go, I need these for day 2. Yeah.
So that's what happened. What happened actually? I'll pause this and set this up. I actually uploaded my fish. And then I looked at the leaderboard for the first time. I don't ever look at the leaderboard until I get 5. I got stuff to do. I got fish to catch. Once I got 5 and I uploaded all those fish just so that the world could see what's going on out there. We want to try to keep people up to date. I looked and I realized I was in the lead with 82 and a half by like 7 or 8 inches. And it was 10:30 a.m. And I was like, wow, 10:30 a.m. We started at 7:30. I would figure people would have had more fish by now. But I was in the lead, so I said, I'm leaving those fish. And for now, I'm going to go explore other like areas, in that like 1.5 mile section of that bank that was working good for me. I saw some fish every once in a while on that bank on the way down too. Let me blind cast at those fish, because I don't know where those are setting up. They weren't like in this one depression, little sandy spot like the school. Those fish on that bank were, you just randomly see one every once in a while. And so I went up, and there's a little cutout here where there's a sand, like dredge, sort of like little pond back there, and that barge was sitting there. and some a little bit milkier water is kind of like coming out of there. And there's no like flowing water out of it. It's just a cut out of the river. So nothing's flowing out of it, but the river sweeps a little bit of that milky stuff out. And there's a little bit of a milky mud line, you know, it's say mud, but again, it's like a milky color, not like mud.
Yeah.
But that's
it goes from super clear to kind of clear.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, a degree and a half warmer. Believe it or not, that little bit of milkiness will warm it up. I caught a fish there in practice on a jig and crawl. I caught a fish there right now. So it's going to be a big player in this, combining with that school in this tournament. I see a fish. I just crept up on the point. I stood up. I saw looked like a fish or two, and I threw the gobius out in front of him. See, I made a couple casts with the spinnerbait and the milky stuff. Didn't get bit. And I saw one as I was looking. So I threw it out in front.
Did you look at you? This time, I mean, slow, easy. Pull them pants up. That's right.
Pull them pants up. You got to do that. It's a family show. And then I just kind of was popping that little bait on the bottom, making it look like it was hopping around, stirring up some sand, you know, mud. And I got her. She bit.
Awesome, dude. It's so sick, man.
It's just cool that filming this sport is where it's at, man. For kayak fishermen, we can't have people following us. We can't have a camera guy on our boat. The GoPro is the way, man, to validate our catches. No one can question your character because they can see, you know, you're catching the fish. Like, it doesn't solve everything. It can't. There's one following. It's a little bit bigger. You can see,
crazy,
but you know, it doesn't solve everything. It can't ever solve it. Like if someone bought a waypoint when they weren't supposed to, or got information, you know, outside of the time frame. But for the most part, this camera, as easy as it is to run, could stop a lot of the drama in the sport and give us cool stuff like this to watch. Double whammy.
And dude, too, what's cool about these fish is like catching them on a single hook. Like you get them hooked good, you get to watch them fight. Like you got confidence in what you're like. Okay, this thing's coming in the boat.
Yep. And I did switch up my color, my bait from practice. I didn't even want anything that had seen my other color. I just tried to mix it up just for so that's that fish. Now I cold one time. And so here's what I did next. Remember how that beautiful gorge was down there? And I never got a chance to explore the gorge and this section river.
Yeah.
I actually kept fishing a little bit, didn't get any luck, and I said, I got to get that out of my head.
Yeah.
Because it's like noon right here, and or even earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get that out of my head. So, because what if I don't have enough fish on day 2 in that spot? I need to know if there's anything else. I need to go practice. Because I noticed I was in the lead. I thought I'd be pretty good after day 1.
Yeah.
I just motored down 5 miles down below the interstate into the gorge, explored, looked at it, saw a couple smallmouth in one spot, checked a little largemouthy backwater that was stained, checked the water temps, bunch of tulies that looked great, didn't get bit. I went all the way back up, you know, all the 5 miles back to the ramp.
Yeah.
And at least it was out of my head. Now I know, okay, I'm all in above the bridge. I'm all in upstream. It's got to happen there, or it's not happening for me in this tournament. It's not my day. So I ended up going on day 2. So remember that riprap bank where I caught that fish, that right bank?
Yeah.
Now I know fish are there. Now I know bass live there. So now I'm going to start fishing right at Lines End on that bank.
Yep.
And it just, let's see. So here we go. First fish. So first fish of the day, second freaking cast. And I knew my whole game plan is 5 fish. I just need 5 fish. So let me zip forward to where
I skedaddle.
All I'm doing is looking. All I'm doing is looking to my right, looking down in the water for fish. Even though it's not Lines End time yet, but it just hit Lines End time, and I got to this.
You get with that torpedo on that crescent with you in it.
Almost 7 miles an hour. Now upstream you don't get 7. So here's my first cast. First cast, you know, nothing. So it's like 7:32 right now, something like that. It was just after Lines End time for us, and that little point kind of jutted out in that riprap bank, just a teeniest little feature.
Yeah,
I remember fishing the Brazos River one time. It was so low in Texas. There's like nothing in the water, but if there was a teeniest little branch, that's all they had. They had to be on something, so they were on it. But anyway, this little teeny cutout there, and I threw, and I got one in the second cast. Biggest fish of the tournament.
Second cast. Come on, dude, stay on.
You got big fish too, or just
big?
biggest
no, big fish was 21 3/4. A couple largemouth tied for it. Dude, the lake record was caught while we were there the week of practice. It was like 11 or 12 pounds largemouth on Lake Havasu.
Damn.
Yeah, it was caught there. So I thought it was going to take mid 90s to win this thing at 2 days in a row, or not low 90s. But this fish here,
Look at my
eventually
man.
when I struggle for a second without the, I just don't like nets, man.
I noticed.
Freaking big one right off the bat.
Oh, dude. I was
Thank you, Jesus. Oh, my Lord.
fired up.
No way that just freaking happened.
Thanking God a lot there, because I knew that was a huge to have. Hang on, let's see. The better picture is right here of it. You guys can see the big one.
Gotta pull them pants up now.
Yeah, you got to.
Got
17 3/4, guys.
Look at that.
Literally my second.
Dude, those
cast.
look like Tennessee
17
smallmouth.
3/4.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
skinny rocket looking like torpedoes. Those are crazy looking.
yeah. They really are. There were some fat ones, but and I saw some 19s, some 20s. I saw some 4 and 5 pounders for sure.
Crazy.
So that was the okay, this is fish number 2. So now I got 1. My whole game plan is just revolves around getting a limit, dude. Just get a limit, and I probably win this thing because only 11 people got a limit on day 1. 11 out of 111.
That's when someone said day 2 only 6 people got a limit. Gotta get them pants pulled up, get that underwear out your ass.
That's right.
That's
so
fine.
the day 2, that only 6 people got a limit on day 1 and day 2, like combined. Only 6 of us got a limit both days.
I have no idea how.
So I just turned to the camera and said, I caught one. I have one. I don't know how I have one because I've already been fishing the school for like 20 minutes and have not got bit. I tried a TRD, a net head with a TRD crawl. I tried like a little 3.75 inch, jerk shad with like a split shot rig just to kind of let it hover and then stir up that sand and just dart like a little mini Carolina rig just to like, with a spinning rod, like super finesse. It had fluoro on it and everything, man. Fluorocarbon, but I just went back. They wouldn't hit it. I went back to the Gobius, the 8-pound straight braid. And next thing you know, I got one,
That's crazy.
So number 2, they're all following this one in, getting fired up. But so you'll see them here. There's more of them kind of following it like always.
And everybody listening on podcast form, like, so you gotta imagine like Great Lakes clear water, and come watch this on video form so you guys can see this. Like,
yeah, you gotta come watch it.
There's like 5 with it, just all trying to take the Gobius out of its mouth. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Struggle, got her.
Let's go, dude. That is
so. Now I've got 2, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking I just got to get 5.
Yeah.
Just got to get 5. And then I don't know. I'll see how big this one is. Let's see me hold it up here.
That's pretty good.
Was that a carp right there? You'll see. No, that wasn't carp. You'll see some big carp sometimes swimming around. They're giant.
Dude, I bet you go back here in a couple months when that water hits
16
60.
on
I
the
bet
dot.
bed fishing is silly.
Oh, I'm sure. 16 on the dot. Okay, boom, 16. So I got 2. Now let's go. I fished the school. I cannot get another one to bite. I'm like, all right, I just got to leave and go up that bank, blind cast them, go back to that cut, that barge cut, that sand quarry thing was. So here I went up there. I caught a 16.5-inch largemouth. Didn't have the camera running. I was getting a little stressed and forgot to put the, when your battery dies the first time, you got to plug the thing in, whatever. I was getting stressed. Caught a but I did catch before that. Actually, I think I caught this fish. Okay, I'm gonna find it. Here he is. So Jake actually stopped by to see how I was doing.
Yeah,
he wasn't gonna disturb me, and he actually got me catching this fish on video with his phone, but because the GoPro wasn't running. And I caught a 17.
All right, just caught
17 and a quarter.
17 and a quarter. Number 3.
There's your cameo, Jake. There
Sorry,
he is.
GoPro wasn't running, but Jake got some of the fight with his. He was right next to me with his phone. So 17 and a quarter. Thank you, Jake, for getting some of that.
Like I said, then I get the largemouth on a spinnerbait in that cut.
Yeah.
And then I go to that's 4 now, because that was 3. Then 4 was that largemouth. All I need, it's like 11 something. All I need is one more fish, and I probably win this tournament. Because the largemouth was 16 and a half. That one was 17 and a quarter. I caught another 16. They're all good fish. The first fish was a 17 and 3/4. I mean, I'm gonna have more. So potentially a better limit than I had on day 1 if I could just get one more of these good fish. Yeah. So I go. So I'm rolling up the bank right here. It is. Here we go. Here it is. It's about noon.
Mm-hmm.
Jake's still with me too. He's hanging there, just kind of watching. just learning. He got one fish on day one, like a nice 16.5 incher. So he's just kind of chilling with me as I'm fishing on this bank and just blind casting. But what's crazy is they were running a little bit of water on day 2.
Yeah,
and
you could see the current was moving. Yeah.
Yep. It's a little bit milky. You can't tell again. Like, trust me, you can't tell. But in front of me, there's like that milky water was kind of getting pulled out of that sand quarry. So it actually was out like maybe 5 to 10 feet off the bank. It was kind of milkier. And then all of a sudden there'd be like a clear water from the rest. Now, again, you can't tell right now. It's not much. It's a little bit warmer, and it just gives them a little bit more stealth when they have nowhere else to go to be stealthy to hide. But they kind of liked it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was just blind casting up that bank because I knew every once in a while you'd see some right where that rock kind of met the sand. I got one to bite, and let's watch what happens. Number 5. It's number 5 if I can get it, dude. It's about 16. Oh, shoot, don't jump. Maybe it might be 17. Oh, shoot, she came off.
Oh,
no. Dude, I lost her.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. I know you won. It's so heartbreaking to see. Oh, God.
I know. Yeah, it was not cool, man. Not cool. So I'm like, all right, now, because I'm kind of exhausting my areas, a lot. Fishing them, I don't know where I'm going to get another bite, if I'm going to get another bite.
Yeah.
I just have nowhere else to run, man. This is like, you saw it. There's just 2 sides of this river, and there's nothing on the other side. There's just nothing. Like, I've seen it all. There's nothing there. Yeah. So I go back to the school. I let them rest. Mark Cisneros, the camera guy for Bassmaster, came and found me. I was going upstream, and they wanted me to get some photos. So I was actually trying to motor to another waypoint. And so I had to like spend 15 minutes doing some like photo shoot. He took his drone up, and I didn't want to just leave when his drone was up. So I'm just casting at nothing. I know nothing's there for like 15 minutes so he can get his photos. But that was hard to do while in the middle of a tournament without 5. But anyway, that let the whole area rest as I picked the wedgie again. And 2.5 hours, I let it all rest for like, you can see how much more how much more shades on the bank now for the school. Yeah. So it's a lot. It's getting late. It's 2 p.m.-ish, 2:30, something like that.
You can't fish 2 lines in bass, can you?
No. Otherwise, I'd have thrown in another one and caught those followers. So now I'm back to the school. Like, please, God, let this schooler just reset. And some other anglers had come up and were fishing this area. They'd seen them, and they were motor guy. They were looking. Day 1, there was a guy that kind of found that school, I think, or he was right in that area, and I asked him how he was doing. I just kind of came down there to refish him, and he was right on top of him pretty much, and he said he'd only caught one all day and couldn't get any to bite. I don't know if he actually was down the school or just we're seeing some of the fish on this bank. Fish comes off.
Dude.
Again, 2 p.m., lost this fish. I got an hour and a half left, maybe an hour. I can't remember if it was 2 or 2:30. And I am like, this is not my day.
Panic mode. Panic mode starts.
Panic mode.
Yeah.
So at that point, went back. GoPro died, but I had just enough life to pull up because at that point I don't care anymore. I'm like, screw it. I'll be 4th place or 3rd or 4th or 5th, whatever it ends up being, with 9 fish, and that's not a bad finish, Yeah.
Well, Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last.
Before that, I will show this clip that no one has see. I try to make every podcast and live stream different. I'll show this funny clip. Cue the Benny Hill music for this one, boys. No one's seen this clip yet. It's getting hot out. I got to switch and get my hat on. Oh, shoot. We've all been there. Drop the hat.
I've lost one in a bass boat. I don't think I've ever lost one in a kayak now.
And I'm like, all right, I got to get this hat. It's just a cluster. Now I'm like, all right, come on. Anyway, and I'm like, all right, I got it. Oh, shoot.
Almost at it. There it is.
Shoot.
Almost at it. Get it. Sink it. Just sink it, damn thing. There it is. We got it.
There we go.
Looking good now.
Do. That's kind of what that was all about. So then I ended up going and catching. Dude, I went straight braid on my jig rod, like in that milky stuff. And I got bit there on a jig and crawl in practice. I knew they would hit it with straight braid in that milkier water. I went back to that barge area. And when this 14 in a 1/4-inch fish bit, which you're about to see how that milky water combining with the clear as my kayak moves.
You can see
when
it.
This thing bit. It was like, it was 3:11. I have 20 minutes left, 19. And then when I felt that thump, it was like up out of the water in the boat, like just covering it up. It was going crazy. I mean, I was ready. I was tired of spinning rods so much at that point after losing those two. This little dainty stuff. I was like, oh no, this is getting in the boat. And anyway, this is what she looked like, and I let her go.
That's awesome, buddy.
All right, guys, this is the biggest, smallest fish I've ever caught in my life. 14 and a quarter, I believe. Maybe the winning fish. We'll see, but it's
just
fine.
Look how clear that is coming into that little murky.
You can see the kind of milk, but then it goes straight to like 25-foot visibility. That is crazy.
Yeah, Florida Keys, spring-fed rivers in Florida. I mean, nothing really is any clear.
That's crazy looking, man.
Yeah. So
what a wild place. What a wild place.
Wild place, man.
I mean, dude, like that's just, I mean, like I love the fact that that's set up how it did. I mean, it's like spur of the moment, get there, one day of practice, find a school of fish that you probably never would have known existed unless you just got out there and started looking for them literally with your eyes. No electronics involved, and just went out there and did it, dude. I mean, that's freaking epic. That's awesome, buddy.
It was cool, man. Thanks, buddy. It was really cool to be able to go out there and fly in. And the coolest part of the story, you know, on the way back, I was debating whether or not Joe should take, you know, we had a red eye to catch, and we had to just quickly get out and catch that after the awards, just get straight to Vegas and fly out. And I was debating whether or not to take this or not. I didn't know if Frontier was going to charge me, but I was like, whatever, I got to do it. I got to take it. And ended up taking it. They didn't charge me, and they actually announced on the loudspeaker, thanks a little bit in part to Jake here, that when we landed, they said, congratulations to Drew Gregory for, you know, winning the Bassmaster Kayak Series on Lake Havasu, beating 110 other anglers. And apparently Jake was sitting in the very last row. We didn't want to pay to get our seats next to each other. We kind of were risking it. It didn't work out, but he was in the last row next to the lavatories and the flight attendants that were doing stuff back there. And they asked him, you know, what's that deal with that guy? You walked in with the, you know, trophy with you, and he explained what happened. So they had their facts. Yes.
I pooped.
Oh, you pooped, she said.
Good.
Okay. Huh? See, they're not going to sleep.
That's
so
right.
we will change you because we're not done here. Can you say hello?
No.
Say hi. Say hi, Mr. Alex.
Hi.
No.
No,
she's like, no. You're tired. You're just tired, girl. So we're gonna get you changed. But that's kind of the cool part of the story is the whole plane clapped. You know, not the whole plane. Like half the plane was asleep still, but half the plane clapped and cheered. That, you know, that was just cool, man. I wish I had that on video. I'll never forget that, man. This is the coolest, one of the coolest wins. And this is what life's about, man. Adventures like this. To me, I was going to be a win just going out there and doing something crazy and cool like this. It was just going to be fun. Now, getting out of this Northeast Ohio winter, you know, that was a win to actually end up winning this. And maybe it feels a little bit good. I love my West Coast boys and the contention out there. They're awesome. And it wouldn't be fishing if you don't give each other a hard time. If they come out here, we go out there. It was kind of nice though. Like they were like, oh, you can't win doing that style out here. You can't win with straight braid. You can't win in the river here, and all the little bit like some of the people kind of chirping naysayers. Again, it's all in good fun. I do it back to them when they come here. It's nothing, but there's definitely a little tinge of like, okay, well, we'll see. And maybe most of the time I wouldn't, but in these conditions, this situation, obviously it happened to work out. And it's one of the coolest communities you'd ever could be a part of out West. Those guys are great. Cannot wait to go back there. Love them all. And, you know, hopefully that'll encourage some of them to even take flights to do something similar out this way. So we'll see.
Drew Gregory or Greg Drury, however you want to be referred to. You're an epic human, my friend. I'm gonna let you go take care of your kids. But dude, I'm glad you came on here. This was fun. This is good. This is exactly what I wanted to do. This is exactly how I wanted this to go, and it went well. And so, dude, congratulations, man.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, man. I love you, man.
At this point, I love you too. At this point, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this. I'm going to have to get somebody to certify this. Are you the most winningest person in kayak fishing of all time?
I mean, if you take it on average of per tournaments fished, probably. But Russ has won like 16 events. I've won 10 national. He's won 16. But he is certainly fished a lot more. I don't know how many more he's fished, but you know, I mean, last year I fished 4 events total. Like, you know what I mean? Like this year I'm fishing probably 5 or 6, but that's no fault of his that I'm fishing less. And who knows if I fish more, if I win more, I don't know. But on per number of starts,
I'm going to say you are. I'm going to say you are. And that's all that matters. Certified Alex from the Alex Rudd Fishing Sports Commission here in the Bearded Cave, somewhere in a remote part of East Tennessee. I'm certifying that Drew Gregory is the
Declaring
best winningest kayak tournament angler of all time. All right.
I'm going to pass it to Russ, though. I would do that. I pass it to Russ. I think he's the best and the most winningest. He's number one in my rankings. But thank you. Maybe, who knows, we'll see you this year at any Kayak Adventure Series events. But you guys go check us out. Kick it off in Florida for Ocala-Palooza. And you guys come and have some fun with us. I will do one last thing because she's good. I'm just going to pull up the schedule. Share that real quick if you don't mind, buddy, for me. You guys.
I'm going to roll through it. You ready? I'm going to put on the voice. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 Kayak Adventure Series brought to you by all of those sponsors that I am not going to read right now. But first, we've got February 21st and 22nd in Ocala-Palooza. That's in Ocala, Florida. We've got March 23rd, the Paris Reel Fest in Paris, Texas. That ought to be a dang gone knockdown, drag out this slugfest because we're going to be in a brand new lake that has just opened. And are we the first public people to fish it?
Well, no. There's been other tournaments like local stuff that hit it, but that is the Sunday of the Classic. And at the theater, you've been there. You know, we've been on stage emceeing on that big screen. We're going to pipe in that crowning moment for the Classic so that we can still, you know, watch it and be a part of it. You know what I mean? Experience it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So come for the Classic on Friday, Saturday, then come fish yourself the Paris Reel Fest.
All right. Then May 2nd and 3rd, we got the South Boston Bassathon in South Boston, Virginia. June 13th and 14th, we've got the Great Midwestivus. That's a good name. I like that one.
Yeah.
In Springfield, Ohio. July 11th and 12th, we've got the Mississippi Bronze Quest in St. Cloud, Minnesota. August 8th and 9th, we've got the Susky 5 Slamma-Jamma in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. That's a makeup for the fact that there was a hurricane hit and flooded out Pennsylvania last time you guys were there. That one's going to be fun. I'll probably show up to that one. And then September 12th and 13th, we've got Broodstock, or Dose, or Two, however you want to say it. Depends on where you're from. And Allegheny Adventure Oil Region in Franklin, Pennsylvania. And you've got guaranteed $10,000 at the Susky Slam, at Broodstock 2, and Ocala, Florida, and the Paris Reel Fest. So that's a guaranteed $10,000 first prize, dude. Listen.
If you film with a GoPro.
If you film with a GoPro.
And give us 2 of those your 5 fish on camera. Sure. It moves your payout up. So it's going to be fun, buddy.
And if you send me and Drew both a nudie pic.
Now we're going off the rails. Now it's getting too late on a Friday night.
All right, buddy. Listen.
All right.
Love you, man. You're awesome. Congratulations. We'll see you later. Go take care of your daughter. And as always,
will do.
You guys are sweet, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.